Okay, so we were talking about Z1 earlier. Z1 equals spring. That time of the year, I mean that season. And then Z, I just want to make sure that this is correct here. Z-Waganawbu. Z-Waganawbu. This is maple sap. And then when you boil it down, you'll have Z-Zibakut. Z-Zibakut. Or maple syrup. And Zizabakwood is just the common word now that we use to describe anything with sugar or like candy. Candy, we might add this little HNS, Zizabakadons. Zizabakadons meaning small sugar, little tiny sugars. So that's what we call candy. Zizabakadons. And these are all connected here. And it worked out well because that's kind of like the theme for today. We're going to talk about some of the words and how they connect. And then the images that come up when you're speaking those words, those little bits of words. So you made a connection today, right, between Z1 and Zizabakwut or Ziwaganabu, or what was the other one? Ziwaganade? Ziwaganade. Ziwaganade. I'm not sure what that is. Mide is the word we use to describe like butter, right? Like a fat or and in the old days, at least in Ontario, maybe not out west, you probably had the buffalo that you could harvest, but the midea was the most prized part of the deer, right? You after you hunt the deer, you would split it open. You would take the fat from the liver, right? That was the most prized part, the midea. So what's that? I don't know if that's a connection or not. It could be Midewin. It's possible. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know what the connection of this would be, but I know that mide, you're talking about grease or a lard or butter or something of that nature. Ziwagamide. Again, butter, we call butter, would be called Ozawamide. Ozawamide, which is just yellow fat or yellow grease. Zawamide, which is obviously different from Ziwagamide. I'm assuming this must be like maple taffy or something. Right?
So I remember
my
granny, when they used to make that coffee, they would burn the sugar on the stove.
Yeah.
And let it slowly get into a toffee.
Yeah.
And that's how
Or
they made the candy.
You see them pour it onto the snow, right? Make that taffy. Yeah. So that's what Ziwaganade is. It would be that maple taffy. So since we're on this guy here, and we're going to do some storytelling, I want to tell you a little story about this guy real quick. So the story goes that I can't remember what bird, but there was a bird who was living in the branches of the maple tree, and one year there was a great drought, and the little bird had a little family. And the bird was worried it had to leave, but he didn't want to abandon his family. But there was no water, and at the same time there was this great pestilence that was going on, and the little minidonshuk, the little bugs were underneath the skin of the maple tree, and the maple tree like can't just go right? Can't scratch itself. So the maple tree talked to the bird. Oh, it was the woodpecker. Okay, talk to the woodpecker. Hey, let's make a deal. You help me out. You dig underneath my skin. You eat those bugs, and I'll give you some of my sweet sap that you can share with your little ones in the nest. And so that was the arrangement. The woodpecker went in, made the holes in the side of the maple tree. Got the bugs, saved his family. Got the sap, saved his family. But then, we're always observant, right? All in Aanishinaabe, we're always watching what's going on, and we see this happening, and we watch as the sap runs down the side of the tree onto the hot rocks below, and then it evaporates, right? And then you end up with that ziwagmide, right? And then after that, sugar, you end up with the sugar. So that's the kind of like a very nutshell version of the origin story about how we learn to harvest maple syrup, right? By watching nature, watching this sap pouring out of the tree, spilling onto hot rocks down at the bottom of the tree. And the hot rocks, I guess, like during the day, the rocks get quite warm. They can get quite warm. So anyway, that's a story about the symbiotic relationship between the woodpecker and the maple tree. Right? So, anyway, moving on. Okay, World Wide Webs. We have, we're going to start with our base word. Okay. Sometimes people will just say ki. Sometimes it'll be pronounced ki, like this, like ki. All right, so let's see. Here's one guy here. Mikinake. Mikinake is specifically, this is a turtle, but it's specifically a snapping turtle. And the reason why, well, the snapping turtle, when you see a snapping turtle, it's often covered in earth. It's often covered with mud, right? Because it sits at the bottom of the pond and comes up every now and then and wanders around. But when it wanders around, it has on its shell, you'll see all this stuff. Even the really old ones will have stuff growing on its shell, right? So that's the earth. This is the earth. And then the Mikinake is talking about the earth being on the turtle's back. So the snapping turtle in our recreation story after the Great Flood, that's who carries the earth on his back, is the Mikinake. Yeah, from last year. Yeah, from last year. Yeah. So snapping turtle, Mikinake. There are seasonal words here as well. I had mentioned earlier, we were talking about spring. Sometimes the word, minokame. I'm going to put an ng. This is the locative ending. Remember, locative indicates a place in space or time. So minokame is sometimes referred to as spring, the season spring. And then when you add the ng, you mean then you change it to in the spring, right? Or during the spring, in the springtime. Minokame or minokaming. So again, when you're looking for ake, you can see the connection here. With the ki or the reference to the earth in the middle of the minokame. Who else do we have here? Oh, this guy is really cool. I think we had mentioned this previously. Economaged or economaged. I'll put a T in there or a DT at the end because you can finish that word this way. So economaged. It could be yes. Because of the yeah, I wrote the wrong word. There's this. Since we're on this topic. Aanishinaabe. So you see, the only difference between the two is the A versus the E versus the A. So again, this is a present state of being, right? So yes, this would be in a like a teacher. You're someone who's providing or offering knowledge. The learned one kind of thing. And again, it's the reference. You see the reference to the earth. Because in Aanishinaabe ways of thinking, the earth is the source of all of our knowledge, right? Everything we know, everything we need to know, is about our interaction with the earth. Which is this one. This is knowledge. This word here. Aanishinaabe is your word for knowledge or understanding. Knowledge.
Is it like teaching? Would it be
Teaching, yeah,
as well?
yeah. Knowledge, teaching, understanding, any of those.
We have a different word for like understanding. Kikendamo.
There's another one, right?
Yeah. Kikendamo.
Oh, Kikendan.
Kikendamo.
Or like you said, kit. A lot of people just say Kikendan. Kikendan. But again,
If you add a na at the end, it will be, do you understand?
yes. Kikendan na. Kikendan. Do you understand? Do you know? But there's always this reference to, in this case, there's a reference to understanding, a reference to the earth, a reference to the source of knowledge. This talks about the good earth, right? Good earth in springtime. It's returning. The good earth is returning. Mikanokit is the snapping turtle, and it has the earth on its back. And what else have we got here? Oh, look at my notes. So so this is spring, Minokame. The word that is associated with springtime would be this either kitige or kitigeden, which means to plant. So that's associated with the spring season. From here, from summer, we have the summer, sorry, I got these screwed up too. Kitigaden.
That's a garden.
That's the garden. Okay, so this is a garden. So spring, a kitigeden. Spring should be a kitigeden. Summer should be a kitiged. This is taking care of the garden. You're looking after the garden. Yeah.
Isn't it like planting and then looking after the garden and then harvesting?
Harvesting, yeah, we're coming up to harvesting, that's for fall.
Cause you
Kitty
can
cat.
plant first.
A kitty cat, yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's been a long while. A kitty-gun is the garden. And a kitty-gun is to work the earth or plant, you could say plant as well. And then in the fall, you can do, well, there's a couple of words. Kish,
Summer, not spring. Okay, okay.
kush, kush jigeh, kush jigeh. This is like you're cutting, harvesting. Kush jigeh. You're harvesting. And then one last one. In also around the same season, kish kush jigeh. Oh, here. Za ga ke no zagakana again. There's that song. There's that Barney song.
Putting stuff away.
Yeah, that Barney song. Zagakana again, zagakana again. Kana monkey zagakana again.
After that.
So this you're stowing things away, right? You've done the planting, you've done the gardening, you've done the cutting and the harvesting, and now you're going to store it away. Right, get ready for winter.
We would, some of the things that we would do is that, when in like in Ikoi or something, harvesting the rice.
The rice, yeah.
Yeah.
Manominake,
Around-
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Manominake.
After looking after the garden, then you go and move and you go to where the wild rice is
Yeah,
gonna be harvested.
Yeah.
next,
yeah. All of those seasonal things. My grandma used to go around. She said with her grandfather, he was like a sailor. He had a boat on Lake Huron, and he would go from Wiki, to a certain point for about a month, because that's where the harvest was, and they would catch fish, and then they go to another island where strawberries are ready, and then they go to another spot in around the North Shore there, Lake Huron, and they would get raspberries, right, different things, and they would sail around. They would sail around to different spots on Lake Huron, and they would harvest, and that's what they would do, all of this sort of thing. So yeah. All right. If you're ever in Ontario, and there's a couple of other places as well, Misqual, Orchid. Anybody know what that means?
Red Earth?
Red Earth, yeah. So in central Ontario, this is where apparently this is like the rich people playground. Muskoka. Okay, so the Muskokas in Ontario, central Ontario, are. And then if you go, there's Red Earth. There's a Red Earth band somewhere around Minnesota, I think. Yeah. And I drove through there years ago, and I was just wondering. I was driving along, and I thought, oh, this is like very flat. The Earth is very flat. And I thought, wow, and everything's red. Why is it all red? Why is the Earth all red? And then I thought, oh yeah, that's where we are. It's the Red Earth, like that. They'll have the Red Earth band.
I think that's where we would get our ochre.
Or ochre, yeah.
Yeah.
The pipestone would come from around that, because it has that reddish,
Yeah.
right? That reddish tinge to it. Yeah. So you squawk it. Just no. Okay. All right. How are we doing here? You guys okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I've ever seen. All that's called the Straits of Huron. It comes down from Manitoulin Island all the way down to Texas, and there's islands all in there.
With Georgian Bay, that in that area,
It's
yep.
unbelievable. It's gorgeous, and it's safer than Lake Superior, which is really
Yeah. Oh, Lake Superior would be,
tempered. But those Straits of Huron are just, if you ever get a chance to go there, it's just beautiful.
yeah, it is a
The
beautiful
rocks look
place.
so old out there. That was one of the
Oh,
things
yeah.
I noticed right away is like, we live in young rock territory here.
Yeah.
Like, no rocks are young compared to us, but
Yeah.
the western rocks and the Rockies and everything and
Yeah.
Vancouver Island are all relatively new
Yeah.
land, and
Mm.
you can see the ancientness and like the striations and the worn, how worn everything is by the weather out there. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful in there. A happy place.
Now, I haven't found any other words to add to this yet.
Oh, he is having a giveaway. Ellie's drawing a present.
Yeah, I know. Everything's wrapped up.
So this is how the feeling of gratitude was explained to me, and how it should feel. First up here you have the sun, which is Jesus, and up in that same space you have the Megize.
In this one down, you had
Yeah, I'm gonna
no,
finish that.
There's Jesus, oh yeah.
Yeah. So Maggie is it again. Here's the connection. Goes to this, and then from the tail or from the wing, doesn't matter. You end up with a miigwad or miigwad, which is a feather. And then when you give a gift, this is the act of giving, miigwed. Yeah. And then when you receive that gift, that's how you feel. Miigwech. That feeling of gratitude, that feeling of sunshine like on your face. Right? Wow, it's amazing. Wow, I get to do this. Wow. Right? That feeling of gratitude, miigwech. Miigwech wendam.
I feel happy.
Miigwech wendam. Being in a state of gratitude. Grateful. This one was one of the favorites for the students. It was just a simple to follow. And then, for some people it makes it makes a difference in terms of the visualizing, I guess, the word. I don't know if that makes sense. Sometimes it's easier for people to make connections when they see how things flow together.
So the longer word miigwech when
Miigwech wendam.
is the
there's a couple of other key words that I left out, but we'll go back and visit those later.
So you might express to someone like the short form, just like miigwech, thank you. Or you could also say the long form, like someone gives you a gift or miigwech
You could say it that way. I've heard people say that when they've received something unexpected, right? Just you know, I don't know, you're given an award or something, and you like wow, that's that miigwech wendam. That's that. It's more like a state of being, that feeling of gratitude.
So if you're expressing that gratitude, you would put a name at the front.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because that's a verb technically. We're not doing grammar today,
Yeah.
but like, yeah.
Be like, I have
So
that
if you are, because I know you say, nibe, so I'm grateful for water. So so is that when dumb, when you're doing that, or is that when done?
What do you mean? It ends with an M.
It always ends with an M? Yeah.
Depending on the word. They don't all end with like that, but miigwech wendam.
Miigwech always end, even if you put another thing on the end to say what it is that you're grateful for, right? That's all I was trying to check, is to make sure that.
I'm pretty sure that's it.
That's it, okay.
You might hear like dama, miigwech wendam. I think. Again, you're really testing my memory. I could be.
More like the law would be more like in the past.
The na, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
Oh,
miigwech wendam. Miigwech wendam is
Oh yes,
that person is
miigwech wendam. Yeah.
done, yeah, instead of dumb.
is that person, so that would be ungrateful for
Miigwech
that.
wendam, yeah, if you're talking about, somebody feeling gratitude or something.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
So that might be a word you use when you're telling a story or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. So far.
I have a question you may not know or not, and that's okay. I'm just thinking about like speaking someone accurately. So if and I'm thinking about our lesson about locatives from the other week. So
yeah.
if I wanted to say I'm grateful for the water, would it make sense for me to say nimigwech wendam nibing?
That sounds right.
It sounds, yeah. Miigwech wendam. I'm still at that stage. Miigwech wendam. Nibing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Miigwech. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all that's starting to make sense to me, because I noticed when we were talking, I'm sorry, I'm gonna use a word that is very grammar-y, Englishy, but when we were talking about locatives, I noticed that unlike English, in English and French and a lot of other European language, we have these things called prepositions, and you just pay attention to the word position in that word, so like on is a preposition, beside is a
Okay.
preposition,
Yep.
and it seems like in a Aanishinaabe one, the prepositions are kind of just folded into the locatives. So we don't like have a separate word necessarily for,
Yeah, it
On
would just
top.
be the.
Or
Would
next
just be
to.
that NG. And,
yeah, yeah,
right?
okay. So
Yeah.
now now that logic is all actually starting to click into my head, and it's like, okay, no, that makes sense to me now. So
Yeah.
yeah, okay,
Okay.
miigwech.
Preposition. Yeah. I remember that's what they were. I still thank you for telling me what a preposition is, because now
It's the
Now I
only
know.
thing
Now
I
I
remember
know.
from grade 8 French.
Yeah.
That's it. Sir, and that's,
Yeah.
I don't know any of the other French prepositions, I just know sir.
Sir the Tom.
Sir the top. Under.
Mrs. Vanderchamp and all.
Traumatized from
and here's This is probably a short one. We have unknown.
I'm appreciating the examples, like adding water at the end and we can start to
Oh,
practice.
so stars now.
We'll get there
Yes.
eventually, we'll actually be able to make sentences.
Pretend. Not there yet.
Kiwede on, that would be me.
That's you.
My name was Star, I think originally it was Morning Star and got shortened to Star.
Mhm.
And so some of the people in my community would say, Nungo Kwe. You know, they were
Yeah.
talking about us, women, Nungo Kwe. But I think it used to be Wabananang. Wabananang.
Wabanum. Yeah, Wabanum.
Yeah.
Wabanum Kwe. Yeah. Eastern Star Woman. Or Star Woman, I guess. Well, this would be East. So, you can see they're all in common here, right? Anung. It's a reference to a star, which is a reference to a direction. There's certain stars in certain directions. So this one is Nigiwe or Nigiwe. Sorry. So I'm going home. Okay, Nigiwe. I'm going home, and then star. So that is in reference to the North Star,
The North Star.
because the North Star is the one that we use to guide ourselves,
Yeah.
right? So Giwe is in reference specifically to the North Star. Now that's not what it means. The only straight translation would be Anung for star. Giwed, again, it's the going home star, which we in Western understanding call the North Star. Or was it Polaris?
Mm-hmm.
Polaris.
Yeah.
So Giwed Anung, but this is also a reference to the direction, north.
Yeah.
You might finish it up with Giwed Anung Nikkei Ah.
Okay.
Nikea, that's in that direction. Ushtuda Nikea, you're gonna point in a certain direction. So Giwednung Nikea, Giwednung is north. Wabanung is the east, but it's that star of light.
The dawn
Okay.
star.
Yeah. So that, I guess it would be in reference to the morning star.
Morning Star.
Which is in the east. And so that's also the name of that direction. Wabanung Nikea.
These are also represented by the, our cycles in life, right? Like Kiwejinong.
Yes.
Be associated with elders.
That would be
'cause they're
elders.
at that age.
Yeah.
That they're almost ready to go home, right?
Kiwede,
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
Wabanong
in
is
the
like-
medicine wheel, yeah.
Yeah,
Benoji.
the new
Yeah.
ones, the newborns, babies. Because
Benoji.
they're new, right? It's like a new day,
Yeah,
new morning.
elders, Benoji, yeah. Was that, sorry, first light,
Yeah.
white light, something like that, first star. Benoji, you're looking at these little words again, so be. And then, this is something about jibai or a spirit,
Mhm.
something about a new spirit just arriving.
Yeah.
When you say Benoji, this baby is fresh from the spirit world kind of thing,
Yeah.
right?
Touched.
Yeah.
Pure.
Shawanun, this is in reference to a fine star.
Yeah.
I'm not I don't know the name of the star that would be coming up in the south, or that would be prominent in the sky during the,
She probably has her little book there.
Oh, yeah, the star book.
yeah, there is that constellation, right, that Ojibwe constellation guy, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, here,
And then Gabiwe, or the other name,
did you get a star book?
No.
the other name
Where you get them?
for this Ningabiwe, is Epagishmuk, but this is,
West.
yeah, it's the western direction. I don't remember the name of the star though. Well, there is no name for the star. Pungishmo. That means something about falling down,
Ah,
or,
It's like the setting sun, right?
or, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's in reference to where the stars go to rest, or where the stars fall down,
Oh.
at Pungishmuk.
so
Nikeo.
we say Ipingishmuk, and we say that instead.
Instead of Ningabi,
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And remember that, I think that E in front of the Epungishmuk is that state of being.
Okay.
Epungishmuk.
It's bedtime, that's what I'd be told, cause the sun had gone down already,
Yeah.
so it was time for bed.
So Ningabiwe known is something about the star of the west. Pungishmo is the place where they go to recline, or where they go to lay down, fall down, maybe, depending on the context. Pungishmo, my policing days, I'd often run into people who would consume too much alcohol. Gipung dessert, right? They passed out. Right. So that's what this is. It's in a reference to that, going to sleep or reclining, or yeah. So these are the 4 star words that we use to describe our directions. Unknown.
So the Shawanong would be represented by the youth.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Yeah. Shawanong.
Gabi, is men and women.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is kind of like your adulthood here,
Yeah,
Yeah.
adulthood.
and this is your youth, your teens. That transitional time, right, when there's lots of growth in the southern, in the south in the summer, right, there's lots of growth.
Listen, in this book, there isn't like a fall star, so you're right about that. It says it's more like groups of stars that are associated with
Yeah.
the fall. So there's the Moose constellation, and then what Westerners call the Pleiades, or the Seven
Pleiades,
Sisters,
yep,
which we separate into the Hole in the Sky and then the Sweating Stones, according to this book, anyway.
Yeah, Hole in the Sky, that's, I think, Southern Ontario Mohawk, or Haudenosaunee, their creation story.
Oh, that's your Sky Woman.
Hole in the Sky, yeah.
Okay.
Well, our creation story says that we came from, the Pleiades.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the same.
Came from the
stars, yeah.
Sky, okay.
Yeah.
That's where the woman was lowered to earth
Yeah,
first.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Other stories.
all right, how are we doing here?
Cool.
Nishin,
Can I just ask for that Pingishmook, is that all one kind of word?
Epungishmuk,
Lying
yeah,
down or something?
yeah, it's just one word.
Epungishmook.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
that
like
was
seven.
it.
Epangishmuk,
Pangishmook,
Epungishmuk, yeah.
Pangishmook.
When you, I guess when you get really good at, or when you hear it, Epungishmuk, yeah, there's you'll be able to pronounce all these words pretty easily.
set, it's dark, so I figured a little bit.
So is this the Southern Star that you were talking about, where the Seven Sisters are? So they would be in the Javanon?
Yeah, Javanon, so like, no, we're talking about fall right now.
Sun.
Divine or
Ajay.
some of the other ones. That's where the Pleiades.
So the next word
Okay.
It's heart,
that we're gonna use to connect different things, yeah,
recognize it.
this is the heart.
Yeah, no, it's not.
So de or de, some people will just say de, probably mostly people in Wiki. We seem to be dropping a lot of vowels at the beginning of the words in Wiki, yeah.
Yeah, cause all our body parts in my community, they all start with an O.
With an O, yeah. Yeah.
There's a lady in my community that wrote a book, and she called it the O book, and it was a children's book about body parts.
Yeah. Yeah, and all the, they had the first vowel, yeah.
Yeah.
So de is your de is your heart. You have dodem, which is your clan. And you have odemin.
Sorry.
So this is a seed. This little word here means seed. And then this is a heart seed, which is the strawberry.
So much more poetic.
Mhm.
Strawberry.
Shape like a heart.
Depending on where you're from, you might have an ishquide. Ishquide. Ishquide is fire. And there's the word for heart. So in the philosophical sense, we Aanishinaabe believe that in this part of our chest, there's a fire, right? That burns in there. Ishkude, or in our hearts.
Your spirit.
Spirit, yeah. Holds the spirit, yeah. Odewegan.
Oh, drum?
Yeah,
Oh, I always heard it Dewegan, or Doegan, and I didn't
yeah.
put it together.
Well, well, has that beat, eh?
Yeah,
Oh,
the
the
heartbeat of
heartbeat.
mother.
Right, yeah. Odewegan is the drum. Heartbeat. And then we have Odenon. And basically when it's translated, it's just the place of many hearts.
It's almost like, how would you say like a store, isn't it? Or a town?
Yeah, that's what this is, yeah. Town, village, Odenon. You can have Kachit Odenon. So it'd be like the big town,
City?
right? The big city, yeah.
Cooler.
Yeah, yeah. Chit, yeah.
It's a chick, yes.
Yeah, Kachit Odenon is the big town, or the big place of many hearts. Yeah. Odenon. think that's it for the written stuff for now. Any questions? There's more. There's way more. You could probably write, a whole book on just all of these connections, right? Just all of these connections, and then again, it just makes you. For a lot of people, they'll just go, "Holy shit, that makes sense." Right?
One word that you had on this one, it says Udewichigan.
Dewechigan. Oh yes.
Udewichigan. Is it like helping something?
My understanding is that this is you're playing an instrument. Oh, Dewechigan. Or you're doing something where you're performing a steady beat. Right? Dewechigan. Oh, Dewechigan. Odenon. Yeah, there's all sorts of even those sacred teachings, right? When we talk about the sacred teachings, like Zagadewin, Mana, Dendamuin, they all have the de, this little part within the words. Okay, so I wanted to share with you a story about some of the Aanishinaabe teachings, I guess, about generally speaking how we conduct ourselves in this life. And I'm going to be using some of the artwork that's been inspired since moving here to BC a few years back. So in excuse me, in our way of thinking, we after we die, our spirits travel for 4 days. And we end up in the mountains. We end up in the mountains in the west. So the story goes that on the it's on the 4th day of the last day of our traveling. So we'll travel like for 3 nights, and then on the 4th night at sunset on the 4th night, that's when the western doorway opens up. Okay, so this western doorway opens up on the 4th night. And then on that day, that's when the spirit path lights up. And we walk through that western door, and our spirits travel through that western door. But we take 4 days to get there, right? Or 3 nights, 4 days to get there. So I don't know what happens during those 4 days that we're traveling. Apparently, we're supposed to think about our, what we've done and contemplate our lives here as our spirit's journey to meet the keeper of the western door. But this is part of the spirit journey. But before the spirit journey, there are a couple of other things that happen prior to that. So I'm going to use some of my artwork here. So this guy, not sure what his name is, in Obash Kadesi or something like that. So this guy's a dragonfly. And the dragonfly is the first part of this group of artwork. When I was it was around this time of year I was in Fort St. James, and they had a Santa Claus parade. It was like a nighttime Santa Claus parade. It wasn't nighttime; it was only 4 o'clock, but it was dark by then. And I had set up inside this vault. There was this old bank, and I was set up inside the old vault, and I had all my artwork present then, and I brought some new planks of wood. And this is the artwork that resulted from those planks of wood. So what I did was I took the wood down to the water, down to the lake, and I took some of the water and I sprinkled it onto the wood, kind of as a blessing, or usually when I start a piece of artwork, I'll smudge it or do something like that to make those connections, and then that's when the stories come out, right? So the story that this particular piece told me about was, he showed up as a dragonfly, and the teaching that he wanted to bring was about Bimodzid. Bimodzid. Do you remember what Bimodzid is?
Walking that good life.
Yeah, walk gently, right? Walk gently, or walk in a good way. Right, so that's the teaching in this image. It's the dragonfly, and he's just landing softly, right? Reminding us of the creation story when the first human was lowered from the divine light, and that's the instructions that one of the instructions she was given was to Bimodzid, walk gently upon this. So once this guy was done probably November, December 2019. Then following that came this guy. Now this here is an eagle feather. If you look down the center, you can see down the center of the spine of the eagle feather, and then all of the whatever the rest of it is called. And this is the second part in this story about the spirit journey. Now here, with the teaching that we have is that life is like an eagle feather or a feather. That throughout life we try to stay here, right down the center, right down the middle. Okay, that's our goal. But if you look at an eagle feather or any feather, you'll notice that on one side it's a bit flat, but then on the other side, on the top side, it's rounded. Okay, so the teaching here is that we have to, in order to stay centered, we have to maintain balance, right? Because you could fall either way. It's like when you see those log rollers going down the river and they're on their logs and they're trying to maintain their balance on the logs and doing their little river log dance or whatever it is. But that's what life is like. You're constantly spinning back and forth trying to maintain your balance, trying to stay on what some people would call the straight and narrow path, right down the center. Now the tears and the feather would represent places where we kind of fell off, right? We're balancing along and then we fall off, and then we come back. We may get back to that state of balance and continue on our way. So each tear represents some significant event in our lives. So in this case, what's happening here? This is a friend of mine had passed away. He was a great member of the community, and I thought at first it was about people mourning the loss, but instead it's people celebrating. They're all standing around, they got their hands up like this. They're celebrating his life, and all of the good things that he did throughout. So this is kind of like the goal, right? You don't want, when it's time to go, you want people to celebrate that your life, that you've done something amazing. Not happy that you're going necessarily. So once you've passed on your physical self, like I said, our spirits travel for 4 days, and then on the fourth day, presumably in the morning of the fourth day, that's when we get to the lodge. There's a lodge at the base of the western door, and then that's where all of these spirits, all of our spirits, gather in this lodge, and we just wait until sunset. We wait until sunset on that, and then this is the setting sun here. So when the sun sets, it illuminates the pathway, and you can see it lighting up here. And then the spirits follow that pathway, and then they work their way through the sunset and then through the western doorway. And when we pass through that western doorway, we meet this person here. I don't know if you can see him, but he's standing here. He's got a helmet on. You can see his eyes, a third eye. He's got a spear or a lance or something in his left hand. And then the setting sun now becomes a lowered circular shield or a round shield. This guy is the keeper of the western door, or a keeper of the western doorway. And what he does, he doesn't, like I said, he doesn't challenge you. He doesn't ask you for your resume or your reasons why you feel you should enter this place. All he does is acknowledge you, right? He nods and he acknowledges you, and in that moment, you are reconnected to everything you've ever been, everything you've ever done. All comes flooding back, and you're just fully aware of everything, I guess, at that point, because he removes that veil. So once you get past the keeper of the western door, then it's this guy. You run into this guy. This is where this guy is called Aanishinaabe Weekend. Aanishinaabe. Or Aanishinaabe's path, Aanishinaabe's way. Most people refer to it as the Milky Way. And in the Aanishinaabe beliefs, this is where our spirits travel. And all of those stars that we see are ancestors, right? Traveling in spirit form, in that light form. And what they're doing is they're taking Aanishinaabe Mikan and they're going back to Creator. Just like a salmon, right? Just like the salmon, you're out in the ocean. How big is the ocean? And that you're able to find that very river that you came out of when you were, just a small fry, right? So in that way, I think that's our spirits do the same thing. We travel back. We find Aanishinaabe Mikan, and then that takes us eventually back to Creator. So in this image here, this is the town of Fort St. James. It's lit up. It's lit up at night after the Christmas parade, and then basically it's the reflection in the water as it's freezing, and then in the background you can see the mountains, and then the sky, and Aanishinaabe Mikan, and some can see a face, so the eyes, the nose, and this would be the mouth of somebody looking back at you and kind of smirking or smiling. So Aanishinaabe Mikan is the Milky Way, and this is the path our spirits follow, And eventually, we end up here, where we came from, where we originated. We originated with Creator, or came from Creator, and so the Creator, that's where we end up going to. We end up back in Creator's embrace. When I finished this artwork, I took her out to a couple places. I borrowed it from the person who it was gifted to, and different people would say different things about this piece of artwork. And it's the women who pointed out that it looks like she's holding a baby, right? Because when you hold a baby, you usually support them by their, you hold them like this, right, in your two hands like this, their head, and then their bum. And so that's what appears to be happening here. This is Creator welcoming back this soul, this spirit, into her arms. And so that's why this piece is called Creator's Embrace. So when I finally it probably took about a year after this was done before it made sense to me, before I made that connection that this is actually, Creator welcoming you back. But I've always heard her in like an old Cree grandmother, like the saying, "Welcome home, my boy," right? You see them sitting. You go inside the house or whatever, the lodge, and you see this old grandmother, Cree grandmother, sitting there with a kind of wrinkly face and little babushka on or whatever it is, and then all she does is just go, "Oh, welcome home, my boy," right? And then she takes you in her arms and holds you close. So that's what I think she is. Creator's an old Cree grandmother. So from there, the last one. So these were three chunks of wood that I had been given or found or gifted, and this is the last of those. And her name is Mother Earth Takes a Vacation. So she was the last piece. She showed up in April or March 2020. Not long after the pandemic was declared and everything was shut down, like right away. Yeah, right away. And then we start to hear about the earth recovering, the air being cleaner, rivers flowing cleaner, animals returning to previous habitats, things like that. And then so that's what inspired this. After going through this spirit journey, after we complete our existence here, then Mother Earth gets to take a vacation, because we are the most we're the most demanding, right? We're the most demanding of her resources. So here she is sitting in a hot tub, like having a hot bath, and her arms are spread out and her head is back, and she's just like shaking her head like, "Oh no, like there's all these crazy humans, man, what are they doing?" So at this point you just kind of want to say, well, you don't want to make her get out of the tub and come down, right? Yeah. Yeah. And that basically is a story that's infused with some of our Aanishinaabe ways of thinking. And this I can't tell you how much comfort I find in this, because I was raised Catholic, all of the hell and brimstone and all sorts of nasty things happening, and when you reject that, or when you go back to our ways of thinking, you find that our ways of thinking are much more peaceful, kinder, right, much more gentle than being punished or having to qualify why you deserve to be, in her presence, kind of thing, right? Saint Peter, if your resume is not good enough, you get kicked out, right, of heaven. But here, it's unconditional. The keeper of the western door just nods. You remember everything you've done. Whether it's good or bad, I suppose, it doesn't matter. You have to move with it, and you have to make your way down Nanabuja until you get back to Creator's Embrace. If maybe if your life, if you did try to stay on that straight and narrow, live that life along that eagle feather, then maybe your journey back to Creator's Embrace will be a short one. But if you were doing nasty things during your entire existence here, then perhaps you might be denied a swift return back to Creator's Embrace. It might take a long time, right? And therein might be the loss. I mean, can't think of too many other places that would be more safe or secure than being back in, the arms of someone who loves you, right? And will hold you close and keep you close like that. So,
I think last year that I shared teachings about the spirit bundle. I think I shared them with the class where I had my little things out here.